Welcome to our video tutorial on how to do a food fundraiser at the bell tower. This video will walk you through reserving a blue tent, getting food training, and obtaining a food permit for those days. As a prerequisite to this video, you need to have your 2 reservers set in Highlander Link, and you must have waited 2 to 3 days for their system to refresh, so that the right people can reserve a blue tent. This can take up to 72 hours to update. The website that you can look at is reserve.ucr.edu, and here is our Highlander event scheduling contact information. Moving forward, let's start with the basics. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, there are 8 blue tents available near the bell tower that student organizations can use to sell or give away food. The first step in this process is to reserve a tent. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., the tents open for 2 weeks later. These reservations go pretty fast considering there's only 8 tents available. So mark your calendars for the Tuesday 2 weeks before your preferred dates. You'll log in to reserve.ucr.edu and search for food sales. If you don't see any of the 8 spots available, you can choose the waitlist option. However, this is highly unlikely as most groups follow through with their food sales. Now, the exception to this rule about when they open the first Tuesday and Wednesday of each quarter become available on Tuesday of the prior finals week. During finals week itself, there are no food sales. If you reserve one of these tents, you can assume you're good to go. And then you can begin the other steps in this process. The only reason you might be denied is if you fail to do these other steps or fail to follow up when you're asked questions. Again, this is rare. After you have a reservation, you need to go through a quick process through an office on campus called Environmental Health and Safety, or EHS for short. Here is the Environmental Health and Safety's homepage. Note the How Can We Help tab and locate the food permit request. There are 2 things to do here. The first is that a certain number of people in your organization need to be trained on food safety. To serve cold or prepackaged food, you need to have 2 members trained. To serve hot food, you need at least 3 members trained. These are minimum numbers. It's always better to have more of your members trained. Now, how do you do the training? First, you'll go to ucrlearning.ucr.edu and log in now. You'll find a course and use the magnifying glass icon on the right corner and type in food safety. Click register for the course and you're on your way. The training is only 26 minutes and the training taken in the last 24 months will be accepted. Every person inside the blue tent needs to complete this training, so it's a good idea to have as many members as possible do it, just to be safe. Keep in mind that only 6 members can be inside the tent at a given time, so with extra members trained, you can always switch out. Once someone completes the training, they're now eligible to apply for a food permit. Back on the Environmental Health and Safety webpage, you'll find the Food Permit Request tab. Scroll down and fill out the form to request a food permit. While the training is good for 2 years, the permit is only good for 1 day, so you would apply for permits every time you are reserving a tent. However, these permits are free. On the form, you'll specify what you're selling or giving away and where you're buying from and other information. Once your request is approved, Environmental Health and Safety will email you a permit to print out and put up when you get to your tent on the day of. If the hub requests a copy, you can forward this document to Hub Scheduling at hubscheduling@ucr.edu so that they know you've completed it. If you can include your organization's name and the reservation number you received when you reserved the tent, that would be helpful. You need to complete the food permit 7 business days in advance. So once you reserve a tent, you have a week to do the training and get the permit, leaving you with a week to prepare for your fundraiser or make any changes based on feedback from either the hub or environmental health and safety. The person who submits the permit may be contacted by environmental health and safety for additional information. Be sure to check your email. And now let's talk about what you're selling or giving out in these tents. The easiest route is to buy food from an approved source and resell it. This might include selling tacos from a nearby restaurant or selling Jamba Juice. You are allowed to buy these food and drink items and resell them, but no one from the company is allowed to be in the tent or allowed to help you sell products at all. If you buy food or drinks, you'll include this information and the vendor you're using in your reservation and food permits. Vendors can be met at Lot 1 flagpole to hand off the food or drinks, or a member from your organization can pick them up from their business. All items must be made or cooked, assembled, and packaged prior to your organization possessing them. You're still responsible for keeping food at the proper temperature and storing them in order to avoid contamination. Food sales run from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the latest. You have from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. to do any prep work such as signage and organization for the 11 a.m. start time. When you arrive, here's what will be provided for you. You get a tent with mesh netting walls. You get 2 folding tables inside, power outlets, and a sink and hand washing station for you to use located outside of your tent. Anything else must be provided by you, including gloves and hairnets. Hub scheduling has rolling carts that you can use, and they can be checked out through Hub scheduling office in Hub 353. You will be visited during this time by a professional from environmental health and safety to make sure you're doing everything properly and to double check that everyone in the tent is listed on the food permit and has completed the proper training. Be sure to keep the mesh netting closed at all times. This helps keep flies and bugs out of the tent. You can sell your items until 2 p.m. at the latest and must be cleaned up or out of the tent by 2:30. Here are some other tips to make sure you have a successful fundraiser. Consider what you're selling and what season it is. Selling hot beverages when it's 80 degrees out or selling cold items in the middle of winter may not be a great idea. Also, consider selling something that isn't already available near the center of campus, so students may be more excited about buying from your organization. Also, consider how much you're buying the food for and how much you intend to sell it for. UCR is a cashless campus, so think about investing in technology to accept debit or credit cards for your sales. If you are accepting cash, then ensure you have cash ready to break bills and give change to your customers. We encourage you to do your own research into what tools might work for you, though none of the technologies are directly supported or endorsed by the university. And lastly, advertise your Blue Tent fundraisers once approved so that the campus can support your efforts. With that, we hope you have a successful fundraiser. For questions, you can either direct them to Hub Scheduling or Environmental Health and Safety. Good luck.